Listen carefully, because this might be the moment your life finally snaps into focus. Every man reaches a point where he stands between two roads, relaxed failure or relentless success. One looks easy, soft, comfortable. The other looks brutal, demanding, unforgiving. And the truth is simple. The one you choose will shape your destiny, your confidence, your future, and your legacy. Most people want success, but they live like failures. They want to win, but they sleep like losers. They talk about goals, but they never chase them. And then they wonder why life doesn't change. Relaxed failure is seductive. It feels warm, safe, gentle. You can sleep in, waste time, avoid discomfort, and no one will judge you. But here's the trap. Comfort is the cage that destroys men quietly. It convinces you that tomorrow will save you, that opportunities will wait for you, that greatness is possible without sacrifice. But life does not reward the relaxed. Life respects the relentless. Relentless success demands a different kind of mindset. It requires waking up with purpose, moving with intention, and refusing to negotiate with your weaknesses. It means choosing discipline when your comfort screams for attention. It means pushing when you're tired, learning when you're bored, and improving when no one is watching. Success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most committed. People will call you intense good. People will call you obsessed, even better. Every great man in history was obsessed. Every champion was relentless. Every winner chose the hard road, because success isn't a gift. It's a fight. And only those willing to go to war with their excuses win that fight. Understand this. The world respects strength, consistency, and results. No one remembers the man who almost made it. They remember the one who conquered himself. Your competition is not out there, it's in the mirror. Beat him daily and the world becomes yours. Comfort is one of the most dangerous illusions a person can fall into, because it disguises itself as peace, ease, and safety while quietly stealing your potential. When you're comfortable, the world feels calm, your mind rests, your body relaxes, your responsibilities fade for a moment. But here's the hidden truth. Comfort doesn't nurture greatness, it neutralizes it. You don't grow in warm rooms. You don't evolve while taking it easy. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you trade your future for a temporary feeling. And most people never realize the cost until it's too late. The real hook is this. The human mind isn't designed to stay motivated. It's designed to stay comfortable. Your brain tries to convince you that the soft path is safer, that avoiding pressure is wise, that taking it easy is somehow good for you. But deep down, you know the truth. Nothing powerful, meaningful, or extraordinary has ever been built from a relaxed state. Comfort doesn't push you, it pauses you. It quietly whispers, you can start tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next week, next month, next year. Before you know it, the dreams you once felt burning inside you fade into regrets you carry for life. Every successful person you admire understands this. They don't chase comfort, they chase growth. They aren't addicted to ease, they're addicted to progress. They know that stepping into discomfort is the price of stepping into greatness. The moment you embrace challenges, you separate yourself from the crowd, because 99% of people choose the path of least resistance, even though it leads to the life they secretly fear: average, forgettable, ordinary. Here's the punch. Comfort is never neutral. It moves you backward. The world moves fast. Opportunities move fast. Competition moves fast. If you're standing still, you're already falling behind. Comfort makes you stagnant, and stagnation turns into dissatisfaction. You start feeling restless, lost, frustrated, wondering why life isn't changing. But life isn't the problem. You are. You're too comfortable to grow and too uncomfortable to admit it. Life rewards the person who steps into discomfort willingly. You become sharper, stronger, more disciplined. Every uncomfortable moment builds resilience. Every challenge you accept builds confidence. Every sacrifice you make builds character. Comfort can't give you any of these things. It only gives you temporary pleasure at the cost of long-term fulfillment. Here's a hook you need to feel. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent. Discipline stings. Effort burns. Pressure hurts. But these feelings are signs of growth. Regret doesn't sting, it suffocates. It follows you for years. It shows up when you're alone. It asks the questions you can't answer. Why didn't you try harder? Why didn't you start? Why did you settle? Choosing discomfort now is choosing power later. Choosing comfort now is choosing weakness later. The man who embraces difficulty becomes unstoppable because he trains himself to do what others avoid. The man who avoids difficulty becomes replaceable because he never builds anything inside himself worth admiring. Every great transformation begins with a decision. The decision to stop letting comfort dictate your actions. The moment you refuse to negotiate with your excuses and step intentionally into challenge, everything in your life shifts. Your mindset sharpens. Your habits improve. Your results accelerate. You step out of the average crowd and into the elite arena, the arena where growth is constant, discipline is normal, and success is earned through relentless effort. Comfort may feel good, but greatness feels better, and the world will always respect the person who chooses growth over ease, challenge over safety, and discipline over relaxation. Discipline is the one force that quietly separates the strong from the weak, the focused from the distracted, and the achievers from the dreamers. It isn't glamorous, it isn't loud, and it doesn't demand recognition, yet it is the foundation of every form of success. When you build discipline, you build confidence, and not the fragile confidence that comes from compliments or temporary achievements, but the kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. That inner certainty, that unshakable self-trust is what turns ordinary people into unstoppable individuals. Here's the hook most people never understand. Confidence is not born from motivation, it's born from discipline. Motivation feels good, but it disappears when life gets difficult. Discipline stays when motivation dies. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're uninspired. It doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what you committed to. And every time you honor that commitment, you strengthen the belief that you can do hard things. That belief becomes your power. Most people struggle because they wait to feel ready. They wait for their mood to improve, for inspiration to hit, for the perfect moment to begin. But discipline doesn't care about perfect moments. It thrives in the imperfect ones. It grows in the days when everything inside you wants to quit, but you refuse. That resistance, pushing through when you don't feel like it, is the exact moment your confidence is forged. Every rep you don't want to do, every study session you almost skipped, every project you push forward despite fatigue becomes a brick in the foundation of your self-belief. Here's a powerful hook to remember. Discipline is freedom disguised as effort. At first, discipline feels like restriction. You wake up early, you sacrifice comfort, you stick to routines, you deny yourself distractions. But over time, it gives you freedom. Freedom from fear because you trust your ability to execute. Freedom from doubt because you proved your consistency. Freedom from excuses because you've built a track record of following through. Most people live trapped by their own habits. Disciplined people live liberated by theirs. The difference is simple. Disciplined individuals build momentum. Momentum builds identity. Identity drives destiny. When you act disciplined long enough, it stops being something you do and becomes something you are. You begin to see yourself as capable, focused, responsible, and powerful. That identity shapes your actions, and those actions shape your results. Suddenly, things that once felt difficult become normal. Tasks that intimidated you become routine. Goals that felt unrealistic become achievable. Another hook worth absorbing: discipline is the antidote to insecurity. Insecurity thrives when you know you're not living at your potential. You feel guilty, frustrated, and disappointed because deep down, you know you could do better. Discipline eliminates that inner conflict. When you consistently show up for yourself, you silence self-doubt. You stop questioning whether you're capable because your behavior proves that you are. Confidence becomes a byproduct of your effort. Discipline also builds emotional resilience. When you consistently challenge yourself, you learn how to handle pressure. You learn how to stay calm under stress. You develop the ability to focus even when everything around you feels chaotic. This type of emotional control becomes a superpower in a world built on distraction and instant gratification. People who rely on motivation crumble under pressure. People who rely on discipline rise through it. Every disciplined action, big or small, teaches you a simple truth. You are in control of your life, not your circumstances, not your excuses, not your comfort. You. And once you fully understand that, your confidence no longer depends on external validation. It comes from your own consistency and your own progress. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up one more time, pushing one more inch, taking one more step, even when you don't want to. And the man who masters this becomes unstoppable, not because life becomes easier, but because he becomes stronger. Success has never belonged to the most talented. It has always belonged to the most relentless. Talent is a head start, not a destination. It gives you potential, not results. The world is filled with talented people who never made it, who talked big but produced nothing, who had the ability but lacked the discipline, hunger, and consistency to turn their potential into achievement. This is the truth most people avoid because it exposes the real difference between winners and everyone else. Consistency beats talent. When talent refuses to work, here's a hook that should hit you hard. Effort is the great equalizer. You can outwork someone more gifted than you. You can outperform someone with better circumstances. You can outlast someone with more advantages. Success respects grind, not gifts. It rewards the person who wakes up one more time, pushes one more step, and refuses to back down even when everything in them is tired, stressed, or uncertain. The world does not care how gifted you are if you don't show up with relentless consistency. Most people fall in love with the idea of success, not the work behind it. They want the lifestyle, but not the sacrifice. They want the reward, but not the repetition. They want to be admired, but they don't want to endure the process that creates admiration. This is why they stay stuck. Talent without discipline becomes wasted potential. It turns into a painful reminder of what could have been. The hook here is simple. Potential is useless without pursuit. Success is built on habits, not hype. Small, disciplined actions performed every day become the bricks that build your legacy. Waking up early, practicing when no one sees you, improving when you'd rather relax. These are the actions that separate the relentless from the regretful. Talent might give you a spark, but effort turns it into a fire. And the truth is, success is attracted to fire. It gravitates toward the person who refuses to cool down, slow down, or back down. Another powerful hook. Consistency protects you from fear. When you practice something again and again, fear loses its hold. When you push through difficulty daily, challenges stop intimidating you. When you repeat disciplined actions long enough, you become confident not because someone told you to believe in yourself, but because you've built a history of proving that you can execute. Talent makes you hope. Effort makes you certain. Relentlessness is a mindset. It's the decision to keep moving when motivation disappears. It's choosing progress over perfection. It's understanding that failure is feedback, not a finish line. The relentless are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who never stay down. Talent often builds ego. Effort builds resilience. And resilience is what keeps you alive in the game long enough to win. The world rarely opens doors for the talented. It opens doors for the persistent. People who don't quit become impossible to ignore. They show up so consistently that opportunities eventually bend toward them. Success is a game of patience and pressure. You apply pressure every day through your actions, and you practice patience by trusting that your consistency will eventually pay off. Those who lack talent but remain relentless often surpass those who had every gift but lacked the grind. Here's a hook to keep in mind. Talent may impress people, but consistency convinces them. You don't earn respect by being naturally gifted. You earn it by being dependable, disciplined, and determined. The ones who become champions are not always the strongest, fastest, or smartest. They are the ones who kept going after everyone else stopped. Success does not choose the best. It chooses the most committed. And commitment is a decision you make every day, regardless of how you feel. That's why the relentless always rise and the merely talented fade. Talent may be given to you, but success is earned by effort, sacrifice, and an obsession with continuous improvement. Your greatest battle will never be against another person. It will always be against the version of yourself that wants to stay comfortable, avoid effort, and remain unchanged. That inner voice, the one telling you to slow down, settle, postpone, or quit, is your real opponent. And what makes this battle so intense is that it's quiet, personal, and constant. You can't escape it because it lives inside you. Every decision you make, every habit you form, every action you take is either strengthening your strongest self or feeding your weakest one. Here's the hook you need to feel deeply. The man you fear becoming is created one small compromise at a time. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you feed your weaker self. Every time you break your own promise, you empower the part of you that wants to fail. And every time you avoid discomfort, you allow doubt, laziness, and insecurity to tighten their grip. That version of you, the one that chooses shortcuts and comfort, is not harmless. It is actively destroying your potential from the inside out. Most people lose this internal battle because they underestimate it. They think the competition is outside. the economy, their environment, other people. But the real war happens in the mirror. The strongest people in the world didn't build their power by defeating others. They built it by defeating their excuses. They refused to negotiate with the part of themselves that wanted the easy way out. That is why they became unstoppable. They understood a brutal truth. The enemy is not the world. The enemy is the weakness within. Your weakness is clever. It knows how to justify everything. It tells you you deserve a break even when you haven't earned it. It says start tomorrow knowing you said the same thing yesterday. It whispers, this is enough, right when you're capable of more. And the dangerous part is that these lies feel comfortable. They feel soft, warm, and safe. That is why they are deadly. Weakness hides inside comfort. It hides inside excuses. It hides inside procrastination. Here's a powerful hook. Discipline is how you kill the weaker version of yourself. Every disciplined action is a strike against your inner laziness. Every time you push through resistance, you weaken the voice of doubt. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you steal power from the part of you that wants to keep you average. Growth is not a straight line. It's a fight. And the battlefield is your daily decisions. The strongest version of you is already inside you, waiting. But it only appears when you challenge yourself. You meet him when you stay consistent. You meet him when you take responsibility for your actions. You meet him when you choose the harder path, not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. That powerful version of you is shaped through discipline, pressure, and effort. He is forged in the moments when you say, no more excuses. Another hook you need to remember, the mirror doesn't show your face, it shows your habits. When you look at yourself, you're not seeing your potential, you're seeing your decisions. If you want a different reflection, you must live differently. You must wake up and actively fight the part of you that wants to remain mediocre. No one else can win this battle for you. No coach, no friend, no mentor. It's you versus you every single day. The moment you understand that your weakness is not part of who you are, but something you allow, everything changes. You start seeing your choices as weapons. You start understanding that discipline is armor. You begin to realize that the life you want requires defeating the version of you that is holding you back. When you win that internal war, the external world becomes easy. Challenges feel lighter. Obstacles feel smaller. Success feels inevitable. The most powerful, confident, and unstoppable individuals are not the ones with perfect circumstances. They are the ones who conquered themselves. And the moment you decide to do the same, nothing in the world can stand in your way. Growth is never born from comfort. It comes from the pressure that forces you to evolve, the pain that tests your commitment, and the purpose that keeps you moving when everything else tells you to stop. Most people want progress without discomfort, but that's not how the world works. If growth were painless, everyone would be extraordinary. The truth is, progress demands a price. And only those who are willing to pay it earn the right to rise above mediocrity. Here's a powerful hook to anchor in your mind. Pain is not your enemy. Staying the same is. Pain is the signal that you're stepping into new territory, stretching beyond your limits, and becoming someone stronger. The discomfort you feel during hard work is the building phase, the reshaping of your identity, the upgrade of your mindset. Every time you challenge yourself, you peel away a weaker version of who you were and make space for a stronger one. Most people run from pain, but champions run through it because they know what's waiting on the other side. Pressure is another force that can break you or build you depending on how you face it. When you feel pressure, it means life is demanding more from you, and that's a privilege. Pressure only visits the capable. It doesn't show up for people who don't matter, who don't try, or who don't push. Pressure comes to those who are climbing, improving, and stepping into larger roles. Instead of fearing it, embrace it. It's a sign that you're leveling up. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not in comfort. Here's the hook. Most people ignore. Pressure exposes your true potential. When life squeezes you, it reveals who you really are. Do you fold or do you focus? Do you slow down or do you sharpen up? Do you escape into excuses or do you rise into execution? Pressure is the environment where strength is built, competence is sharpened, and confidence is born. Every time you handle pressure, you expand your capacity. What once felt overwhelming eventually becomes easy, and that transformation is the essence of personal growth. But pain and pressure alone aren't enough. You need purpose. Purpose is the fuel that keeps you going when discomfort becomes heavy. Without purpose, you'll quit as soon as things get difficult. With purpose, you'll push far beyond your old limits. Purpose gives meaning to the struggle. It tells you that every sacrifice matters. It reminds you that every early morning, every late night, every hard decision, and every moment of discomfort is shaping a version of you that the world cannot break. Another hook worth remembering. Purpose turns effort into identity. When you attach your actions to a deeper meaning, your future, your family, your legacy, you stop asking, do I feel like doing this? And start saying, this is who I am. That shift changes everything. It turns discipline into instinct. It transforms sacrifice into strength. It rewires your mindset so that difficulty no longer scares you. It excites you. Growth also requires facing the parts of yourself you don't like. The laziness, the excuses, the fear, the procrastination. These internal barriers are far more dangerous than anything outside you, and you defeat them through consistent effort under discomfort. The more you work through pain, the more you weaken your old limitations. The more you endure pressure, the more you strengthen your resilience. The more you act with purpose, the more you shape a future that aligns with your true potential. Every meaningful improvement in your life, mental, emotional, physical, or financial, will require you to walk through discomfort. That's the path. There is no alternative. But here's the final hook. Once you learn to embrace pain, pressure, and purpose, you become unstoppable. You stop fearing challenges and start seeking them. You stop avoiding growth and start craving it. You stop living small and start rising into the strongest, most capable version of yourself. Your life changes the moment you commit fully. Because commitment is the switch that transforms dreams into direction and direction into reality. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they never decide with absolute certainty what they want and who they must become to achieve it. They live in a state of almost halfway in, halfway out, testing the water but never diving in. But nothing extraordinary is built with half-hearted effort. The second you truly commit, your mindset sharpens, your actions align, and your entire life begins to move with purpose. Here's a powerful hook. The universe only responds to people who are all in. When you're hesitant, you send mixed signals. When you're inconsistent, you get inconsistent results. But when you commit fully, the world starts bending in your favor because your decisions, energy, and behavior become aligned toward one direction. That alignment is what creates momentum. And momentum, once it begins, is one of the most unstoppable forces in human performance. Commitment changes your identity. It shifts you from someone who wants to improve into someone who is becoming better every single day. That shift is subtle, but it's everything. When you commit, you stop negotiating with excuses. You stop allowing feelings to guide your actions. You stop letting setbacks define you. Instead, you become anchored to your purpose, disciplined in your approach, and relentless in your pursuit. Commitment rewires your mind to operate beyond mood and convenience. Another powerful hook. When you commit, obstacles lose their power. Challenges that used to discourage you become part of the journey. Failure becomes feedback instead of defeat. Rejection becomes redirection instead of humiliation. You stop seeing problems as reasons to quit and start seeing them as tests designed to shape you into someone stronger. The person who is fully committed doesn't fear obstacles. He expects them, welcomes them, and uses them as fuel. Commitment also brings clarity. When you know exactly what you want, your priorities rearrange themselves automatically. You stop wasting time on distractions. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop giving energy to things that don't move you forward. Life becomes cleaner, sharper, and more focused. You begin to realize how much time you used to waste on things that didn't matter. Commitment cuts away the unnecessary and elevates the essential. Here's a hook that many people learn too late. The decision to commit is far more important than the plan. Plans can change. Circumstances can shift. But a committed person adapts, adjusts, and continues. The uncommitted person gives up the moment the plan gets difficult. Commitment is what separates those who finish from those who disappear halfway. It's the inner contract you sign with yourself that says, I am doing this no matter what. When you commit fully, you also unlock a level of confidence that half-hearted people never experience. You feel powerful because you're acting with intention. You trust yourself because you follow through. You become proud of the person you're becoming because you're no longer betraying your own goals. That self-trust becomes a silent force, guiding you through pressure, chaos and uncertainty, commitment builds momentum, and momentum creates transformation. Every action you take compounds. Every hour of effort stacks. Every day of discipline adds a layer to the person you're building. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but commitment ensures it does happen. Most people fail because they keep restarting. The committed succeed because they never stop. Here's the final hook to anchor in your mind. Half commitment leads to half results. Full commitment leads to full transformation. The moment you stop waiting for motivation and decide to go all in, your life begins to move in ways you never imagined. Everything you want, success, confidence, growth, impact, begins on the other side of one decision, the decision to commit without hesitation, without excuses, and without turning back. So choose right now, relaxed failure or relentless success, the easy life that leads nowhere or the hard life that builds everything. This is your moment. This is your chance. Stop hoping for change. Become the change. The world doesn't owe you anything, but if you decide to become relentless, disciplined, and unshakable, it will give you everything.